listening to the Neil Lampton Show. My name's Joey, and I'm joined by Paul.
All right, mate.
And Neil.
Hello.
Going to start this week with a question from a listener, Tom Ellis, a question from Twitter. Would you rather have a team of 11 Doyles or 11 Nazons? Paul, I'm going to throw this to you because I know you love a question like this.
In relation to, if I was invading a small nation, it'd be 11 Doyles. If I was having an art project, it'd be 11 ducks.
Do you think he'd be good at art? I mean, I know that there's a sort of an artistry to his game, but are you looking?
That's what I meant, mate. If I was putting on a performance arts piece, and it needed people to don fancy outfits and show out some moves to some jazz music, I'd go for the duck.
It's a great answer. Neil?
If my formation was 10 up front, then the duck. Anything else, all Doyle, please. I only want duck in their half, ever.
See, my worry with 11 Doyles is that within quite a small amount of time, they might reduce themselves to 6 Doyles.
That is a fair assumption.
Yeah. Just a bit of fun to start us off.
Yeah, light-hearted.
Just a bit of fun. Let's do a traditional opening of Moments of the Week. Paul, why don't you hit us up?
It was the shot from Jody Jones which hit the bar, which I know sounds a really obscure thing to pick out, but it was the duck. I think the duck took out 2 players with a little drag back, passed it back to Jody Jones. He took out a couple of players with a feint, and then he hit the ball. I think it was a toe poke, and as soon as he hit it, you were like, "That's one of the greatest goals I've ever seen." And then it's like, a bit more the ball went towards the goal, you're like, "That's going miles over," and then it's sort of, "Oh my life, it's hit the bar." And it was just, at that point against Crewe, me and my mate Jimbo were like, this could be 5 or 6, because we were absolutely ripping them. And it was just one of those moments you just thought, that it's disappointing that didn't go in, but that's probably, we're going to score a better goal than this today. So it was just the encompassment of that moment of being, this is so comfortable, we're so at ease in this game. So, I know it's a bit of an existential one, but it was just the knowledge that we were going to absolutely rip Crewe.
No, I like it as a thing, and I would also add to it. So I didn't go on Saturday, but I watched the highlights back, and when he brought it forward, he has 2 really good options to the left-hand side of him, both in better shooting positions. And as he shaped to shoot, I was like, you've got to pass that. And then when it hits the bar, I was like, oh yeah, you're Jody Jones on your left foot, and you're our main good thing. No, you do whatever you want. You carry on exactly how you wish. Even though he hit the bar, I was like, that's probably the best option all told.
It reminded me of sort of reverse Musa. You know that one that he scored? That sort of clip of the ball. It was just, when you're absolutely confident, that's when you do things like that. And imagine if that had gone in. Wouldn't that have been lovely?
Can I say deft?
Deft is the word.
I felt like it was deft. Neil, what was your deft moment of the week?
Not so deft, but duck. Duckin's Nazon, he embraced the duck nickname with his celebration, which was quite fun, I thought. Or at least it was a close approximation of what I believe was a duck celebration after that great goal to win us the game. So it was just... And also, I'm guessing you've seen that film that went pretty sort of cod viral afterwards, of the bloke in the front row just sort of watching the celebrations and being completely immersed in everything as that goal went in. But if you've not seen it, we can get a link out to you guys listening, because it's absolutely mental. So good.
I haven't seen that. What on earth
have you not seen
there?
it?
No.
Oh, it's stunning. For some reason, this guy's filming the match at that point. I can't quite remember if there was a free kick beforehand or anything, but he's filming it, and we score, and he's like right in the line of Duckins as he comes flying towards him with that celebration, and it is just absolutely crazy when you consider the context of it's kind of a League Two Tuesday night game at Swindon. Yeah, it's not the biggest game in the world, and yet he celebrated, and everybody seemed to celebrate like it was an FA Cup final. Brilliant.
Don't you find that this season though, that like there's been times gone past where we celebrate and you're like, yay, but you're not really sort of. And this season when we score, it's like you are actually celebrating because it's normally been a good goal.
And you feel like it means something, doesn't it? It feels like it's contributing to something.
Yeah, you don't think, in 5 minutes it'll be 1-1. It's like that's the breakthrough we needed. So yeah, I mean, I think the most I celebrated for a while was Devon's goal. Not because, I mean, obviously it killed the game, but it was also like that's what you wanted. It was a good goal scored by a player you actually like, and it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'll throw that in.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go for. Did either of you listen to the podcast that the Covtel put out? That was the interview with Carl Baker.
I did not, but I wish I had.
So I want to give you one small anecdote from there that I'll try and keep reasonably brief. They talked about his relationship with Doyle, and he said that before they played together, or before they'd been together in any capacity, he had played against, I think he said Sheffield United with Doyle on the other side. And he said that they were in, presumably, Doyle was defending a corner. And Baker said he was aware of his reputation and had kind of come up against him a couple of times in the game, or something of that nature. That when they're in the box, he swings an elbow accidentally, catches Doyle in the face, and he says his face is just streaming with blood. He's cut his mouth up or whatever. He said as soon as he's done it, his head dropped, and he thought, I just know that I'm in for it now later in the game. Apparently the corner comes to nothing, and as they run away, he said that Doyle taps him with blood streaming down his mouth and says to him, I actually love that. I was like, you absolute mental man. He said, what's
He's
it?
weird.
Yeah, I think he might be absolutely fully mad. I think we have reason to believe there might be something else that we find out soon that you go, oh, you're you're really quite crazy, aren't you? But we'll have to wait and see whether that actually comes to pass.
Because I mean, without moving, but the lad who got sent off for Swindon, he played with Doyle last season, didn't he? At Portsmouth.
Is that so?
I believe. I do believe Britchard was telling me. Apparently, that's the case. So, but his red card has been rescinded, hasn't it?
Yeah, and yeah, that'll be interesting to see what comes of that situation. Yeah, so Michael Doyle. I mean, I love him. Michael, I'm not just saying that if you're listening to this, don't hunt me down and kill me in my sleep or whatever. But, yeah, what a character. Yeah, he was responsible for, I think his name was Dunn, getting sent off for Swindon, who, as you say, his red card has been rescinded. Neil, you watched the game back, didn't you, via iFollow? Mm-hmm. What did you make of it at the time when you watched it?
It was strange because I was quite sort of nervy watching the Exeter game, but it was a strange sort of nervous. I was just nervous that something weird was going to happen and we were going to lose that match, but not because of us, just something daft decision or something like the ref giving the pen. I watched the Swindon one, and while I still felt for the most part we were the sort of controlling team and we were the dominant superior team, come the end of it, and I'm jumping to the end now because it's kind of my overriding feeling, but come the end of it, I was very sort of worried about it. I didn't feel like we had much control over our defence or our sort of actual control over our back line, or what am I saying? I don't know. I didn't feel as comfortable with our team in that game as I did do in the previous games. So I was very happy and delighted that we came away with a win, because even though they went down to 10 men, I was really nervous watching that game throughout. And maybe I think a bit of it was desperation. I think I just really wanted to get that win against Swindon, because we've all been to Swindon plenty of times before, and whether it's losing 2-0 leads or just being absolutely pissed upon, it's just a horrible place to go. So a Tuesday night win against Swindon is one where you just really, you're desperate to get it. And the fact that we were able to hold on in the end, when I didn't feel like we were working hard enough, but things didn't seem to be clicking quite as well as they were in the previous game. So, I mean, that was my overriding opinion. I mean, they took the lead, and it was a good goal. I mean, I think there was a mistake in there from Rod McDonald, which is a bit of a shame because I'd said how impeccable he was the week before. But actually, I don't think that's a bad thing for me to see him make some mistakes, because it helps rein in my expectation of players and helps me just remember that they are fallible. They are League Two players, and while he's I do think he's been brilliant so far. The odd mistake just helps keep me under control because I don't want me to think he's a Premiership player because I'll only get stung. But it was actually a really good goal. I mean, he slashed it a little bit, but the volley was incredible, I thought. So you can kind of accept that. And it was a bit of a kick in the teeth for us because we're riding quite high after that Exeter win. But if anything, it set us up for an even bigger high, really, to be able to come back from a goal down for... But there was a stat after the game, and I can't for the life of me remember it, but it's been a pretty long time, hasn't it, since we come back from one goal down and to win a game. And it's always the thing with us. We're kind of notorious in the fact that we're not able to turn these sort of deficits around.
The thing that I remember from, admittedly, 2 seasons ago was we hadn't come from being 2-0 down to win since the 60s, and it was against Peterborough the first time round that we did it.
I mean, how good was that game? I know we should be talking about it, but that Peterborough game was up there. It's top 15 for me, definitely. It was just so good.
Absolutely delish. Yeah. Both of them, in fact, but the first one especially was absolutely top class. Yeah,
it's something about just coming from behind, which is just, in a football sense, away from home as well. It's just, the whole experience of it is incredible.
Who scored the goals? I know we're getting way off track.
Peterborough.
Yeah, Ryan Haynes.
Roman Vincelot with one of the best goals you'll ever see, and it will never get sort of mentioned. He did some sort of outrageous back-heeled flick. If you can have a chance to go back and look.
You're talking about you're talking about the second one. I'm talking about the first one.
Oh, the first one. That was
Newblay. There we go.
You're talking about the first Peterborough game. Oh, right. Yeah. Because we did it again a year later, didn't we?
Yeah,
the 1 year later, Tony Mowbray completely fucked up his starting 11, then brought Jim O'Brien on at half time. Yeah. And Jim O'Brien went, "Why the fuck aren't you playing me?" And then proceeded to be instrumental, and then a couple of weeks later was sold. Yeah. But the first one I think was Newblay. Newblay, didn't he score? Didn't he basically pick the ball up in our half?
Yeah. Slammed through, didn't
it? Cheers, Peterborough. Yeah. So anyway, it was wonderful to see us away from home go down and then come back. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, and old Doyle chipped in with one of the worst goals you'll ever see. It was, everything about it was dreadful. I mean, it's odd to see him make that run into the box because I think he's only done that once a season, and then for it to drop to his feet, him to finish it in such a tame finish, really. Off the keeper into the net, and then he goes sort of storming away and giving all the credit to Jody Jones for my wonderful goal. Doyle, don't worry about it. But no, that was good. That got us back in the game quite quickly.
Just a quick
question for you.
Sorry, go on.
Doyle scored his first goal for Cov in August 2003. What were you doing in August 2003?
Oh wow, I would have. That's a great question. I would have been doing my A-levels, I think. Is that right?
I was about to embark on a gap year at Tesco.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I just finished uni.
Cosplayers. Wow, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'd have been 17, I think.
Yeah, my nephew, Sherwin, would have been 3.
Bloody hell. The inexorable passing of time. Yeah. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah, Doyle's goal. There's a number of things about it for me that are fabulous. One, it's quite possibly the softest I've ever seen anyone hit a shot that's gone in. Hosalu's shin had got more power on it on Sunday, for anyone that's seen that. And I also like the fact that... Did you hear what Robin said about it afterwards? He said that he's explicitly told Doyle to not go forward at any point this season. And I think he said, and I might be corrected on this, that he, as the half wore on, Doyle had sort of said to him, or had indicated, I'm just going to bomb forward, and he kept saying no, and then he just did it anyway, and he scored, and he was like, I might actually have to let him off the leash a little bit. But I like
he's a lure to himself, isn't he?
Yeah, I just love the idea that you'd ask, and then be like, well, no, you can't. You'd be like, well, I'm going to anyway, so I don't know why I bothered.
Yeah, it's definitely getting worse with age, isn't he? He never used to be this much of a nuisance, but he's just... I mean, it's good for us. I mean, it makes it exciting and interesting, but he must be an absolute nightmare for Robbins to keep in check sometimes.
Yeah, apparently so. Okay, any final thoughts on Swindon? A word for Nazon's goal, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, it was great goal. he played well. I mean, I think effort-wise, the players certainly put in an away performance sort of worthy effort. It was what we needed. We needed to kind of grind that one out. Heaven forbid I've just said that, but grind that one out. And it was a terrific goal. He kind of felt like it was going in once he turned on it, and he had actually done something really well to actually hold on to the ball about for 5 seconds before that. And while I was applauding how great that was, the ball then came back to him, and he just turned on it. And he's going to do that a few times this season, I reckon. I mean, he's got such a shot on him. When you watch him in the warm up as well, he's got an absolute thunderbolt. I mean, he smashed a couple right at Liam O'Brien's face the other day from about 6 yards. Apologises afterwards, but I get the feeling he's the sort of guy who apologises afterwards a lot of the time. So he's kicking the ball away all the time and then says sorry. Probably just don't do it, first of all, I would say. Maybe duck under him, but he's quite an impulsive character, and that was sort of pure impulse as well, that goal. I mean, just before we wrap it up, just a note on Biamu, his first half performance, and showing signs that he's actually got more to his game than the sort of the aerial presence we kind of credited to him in the previous game. Of the first chance he had where he was pretty much through, I mean, he created himself through sheer sort of pace and stride. I mean, you could argue he should have scored, but I think once you've gone that far with the ball, your legs do start to turn to jelly, even at that early on in the game. And it was, he could put in a good effort. And then I've watched it back a few times. I can't definitively say whether it was a penalty or sending off or not, because it's fairly hard to tell whether there was sort of real contact. But the way the refs have been dealing with the matches so far this year, I find it very odd that he didn't give anything for that one. So it was a shame, really, because I felt like Biamu deserved to get some credit from that game. And probably, if either one of those had gone in or obviously the penalty or sending off, he probably would have come away with a bit more.
Do you remember when Villa played? I think they played Man United in the League Cup final about 4 or 5 years ago, and in the first 5 minutes, I think Bonglehall went through and Vidic took him out.
Yeah. And
the referee didn't send him off, and it was always like he probably didn't do that because it was like so early in the game. And talking to Pritchard, who was in the Cov End against Swindon, he was like, it was clearly a red card offence. He took Biamu out, and he said that if it had probably been 5 minutes into the game or 20 minutes into the game, he definitely would have sent him off. Because it was 2 minutes, he knew if he gave a foul, he'd have to send him off. You got the feeling that that's why he just didn't make the decision. And you're like, but that's bollocks. If it's a red card, I don't care if it's a red card in the first 13 seconds or in the last 19, in 90 minutes after. It doesn't matter. If the guy's through and the guy gets taken out and it's a red card, it's a red card. You shouldn't even be bothered about what the time is.
What are the rules now, though? In terms of, because I still can't get my head around them. So if you're through on goal and if he gives a penalty, he can give you a yellow card because of the whole double jeopardy thing? Is that how it works?
Yeah, but I think basically it's down to the referee's discretion. He doesn't have to send you off.
Right.
The old rule was you have to be sent off. Now it's like it's down to the referee's discretion. But I think in that situation, because it was so clear that he was, it wasn't like he was trying to win the ball, because it wasn't a slight. He basically just pulled him back, didn't he? He professionally fouled him. So it's not even like, it's a mistimed challenge, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. He's clearly fouled him. Well, I say clearly. When I look at the video, I can't. To me, it's just like, he's done one of those things where he probably goes down a bit theatrically. But as I said, Pritchard was like, you watch it and it's clearly a penalty. And there was one in the second half where their guy goes up for a header in the penalty area, and one of our players sort of gently nudges him. So on the screen, it looks like he said in real life, the guy jumps up and lands about 5 foot away because he's just like pushed in midair. And he said that, you're watching it live, you're like, that's clearly a penalty. And we got away with that one. But yeah, he said that the Biamu one, you're watching it live, he said it's amazing he didn't get sent off. It's just bizarre that he didn't get sent off.
It's amazing the context that referees apply to all these decisions, and they, even though, like you just say, it doesn't matter what time it is, where you're on the pitch, who's performing the foul. Foul is a foul regardless, but that's just not the case, is it? I mean, you've got goalkeepers flying out like the Karate Kid, taking people's heads off, and no foul or anything, because they're allowed to be. I mean, that's dangerous play. I think yesterday someone came flying out, clipped their own player and on the shoulder or something, and it was just completely reckless with his knee. But you just imagine, change that goalie into a central defender, or change that goalie into someone else like Mane. He's off straight away, and it's a strange interpretation. I don't know how they're ever going to change it, because goalies they seem to be immune to half the stuff, and yet you literally cannot go near a goalkeeper. If you even set the referee's eyes in motion, you're thinking that he's going to foul me here, he will give a free kick if you're anywhere near the keeper, which is part of the way. You might as well just keep away from keepers, I think, because it's just a waste of time.
Right, I'm going to move us on because we've got plenty to get through, but I'm glad to say it's another victory that we're going to move on to. And Paul, you were there on Saturday to give us a little rundown, weren't you?
Yeah, I thought, as I said, if you watch that game, the first 15 minutes and probably the last 15 minutes are the only parts of the game you want to watch, because those are the parts of the game where Crewe tried to score, or tried to sort of, or allowed us to play the way we wanted to. We kept the same team, which is what we all wanted, and for the first 15 minutes, we just blitzed Crewe. Their left back must be having Jody Jones nightmares, because it was just unfair how many times, and not only how many times, but how many different varieties he had of skinning him. And he was like, this, we discussed it before kick-off, and it's like, someone's going to get an absolute routing. And we were just watching Crewe going, this could be the team. And it's like everything you wanted out of Cobb for the first 15 minutes. The Duck was looking really good. Jones was skinning his man. Kelly Evans was skitting here and there. And it was just, as an attacking team, we looked brilliant. And then we scored. We probably, as I said earlier, we probably should have got 3 or 4. And then after about 15, 20 minutes, Crewe, either one or two things happened. Either we just lost intensity, or Crewe just got a foothold in the game.
I think it's an and, isn't it? I think there's an element of both.
And Crewe started doing things like double teaming on Jody Jones, so he no longer had a one-on-one run at their fullback. He had to beat someone else, and that in the second half, their number 10. We'll call him their number 10. He swapped, like Jones swapped from the right wing to the left wing, and he went with him. And you were just like, okay, they've sacrificed one of their attacking players to man-mark Jody Jones. So the middle period of the game, where Crewe decided to sit and defend against us, was the part of the Cov game which is not really that interesting, which every game has a part of, where I said it to my work colleague today. He's an Arsenal fan, so it's quite hard for him to understand. And it's, if you can have, the biggest positive about Coventry City at the moment is, if you try and defend against us, you will get a certain amount of success, but you probably won't score. If you try and score against us, you're probably not good enough to completely outplay us. So because the game's more open, our front four will rip your your back four for a bit. And that's what basically happened in the last 15 minutes. Crewe took off their number 10. They put they were 1-0 down, so they had to try and chase the game. And basically we destroyed them again, and probably should have scored 2 or 3 in the last 15 minutes. And it's just like, when teams are open, we're really good. There's no denying that our front four. I thought Biamu tired a bit in the second half, and when he was replaced by Bevan. My issue with Bevan is still his decision making. I mean, he pulled out one good pass to the Duck where the Duck should have scored. He took a touch which he didn't need to do. But other than that, the difference between him and Devon Kelly Evans, and I know it's like, but there was a moment in the second half where Devon Kelly Evans got the ball by the touchline, or came to him from a cross, and it was one of those ones where I would guess most of our players would shoot. It was an acute angle, but most of our players would shoot, and he had the wherewithal first time to pull it back to the Duck. He probably should have scored, and you were like, that showed a little bit of maturity, which I don't think many of our players would have had. So there were good things and bad things about our front four. I think one of them is the fact they were beginning to tire towards the end. But they destroyed Crewe. Crewe just couldn't handle them. When it was more even, when Crewe sat deeper, that's when you started to realise that we have still some unresolved issues in the team. It was at that point you realised that while I thought Kelly had a really good game again and Doyle did what Doyle did, when teams sit deep, those two don't offer anything creativity. They don't get forward enough, or they don't play the right passes. They don't release players quickly enough. So it was quite easy when Crewe decided to sit deep. It was quite easy for them to defend against us. And the other thing by having their wingers so deep was it meant our fullbacks had a lot of time on the ball. And if you want to give any players in our team at the moment lots of time on the ball, it's our fullbacks. And I know we keep keeping clean sheets, which is great, but I don't think our fullbacks are particularly in form at the moment. And the reason I say that is when you watch the way that we move the ball and the decision making our players make, a lot of it seems to fall down when those two are involved. And it's not just a case of, oh, you don't like Grimmer. I still have no real opinion on Grimmer. I've been in the past a big fan of Stokes. And I'm not sure where Stokes is at the moment, because his distribution and his decision making is really poor. And I'm hoping, like Grimmer, in the next 5-10 games, he comes through that. But at the moment, it's very obvious that those two aren't at the speed of everyone else. But I mean, it's one of those. It's not costing us goals. Does it really matter? It's an unanswerable question whether or not we'd be better or worse with different players in there. My theory is, because not many teams in this division have flying wingers, I don't think having our fullbacks aren't being questioned that much defensively, but when they've got time on the ball, their distribution isn't really where we need it.
Well, it's a question that Dilraj Johal has put to us. Sounds stupid with 7 clean sheets in 11, but are the fullbacks a weak link? Grimmer beaten too easily and Stokes regressed since his injury. Neil, do you want to jump in and give an opinion on that?
I think there's something in it, because we've seen against teams, amazingly the teams that we've lost against, where they've got proper sort of athletic wingers, that they have struggled at fullback. But I wouldn't say it's a weak link as such, because I think we're so much more than individuals in positions. I think especially that defence now, and a lot of it comes down to trust and comes down to kind of understanding and whether individuals are playing to their absolute capability or not. There's so much more about sort of communication and trust and belief and all that sort of stuff, which actually forms something. So I'm in Paul's camp in the sense where I'd like to see over the next 5 games, I'd like to see an improvement at least, because if they do improve, suddenly we've got an entire cohesive sort of unit where you've got the fullbacks playing well as well. I mean, there's always the question now, obviously you've got Ryan Haynes back, who I think if you're going to pick blindly a team without like any form or anything like that, you'd say Ryan Haynes is your left back based on everything he did last year. But as it stands, if the team keeps doing what it's doing, and by doing that I mean not even letting teams have shots, that's what's even more impressive than the fact that we're keeping clean sheets. The fact that we're keeping the opposition teams down to 1 or 2 opportunities to score a game. I mean that, and it's just like concerted over the course of 10 games. It's been that good. So it's not weak links, so to speak, but it's noteworthy. It's something to monitor, because we do have available players to come in. If things don't carry on as they are at the moment, which is we're winning games, we're keeping clean sheets, without wanting to be too ruthless, we want to go up this year. So we can't afford to allow too many mistakes in those positions.
I mean, I think one player we keep coming back to is Burge. And one thing that's really impressed me about Burge this season is the amount of balls he's taken, how many crosses he's yes. dealt with really well. And as you say, I don't think teams are having many shots because, put my supposed prejudice aside, Jordan Willis is playing well at the moment. There's no denying that he's doing his job well. And McDonald alongside him is another player who's playing really well. And then in front of them, you've got Kelly and Doyle, who are playing really well. So the centre of our defence and the actual easiest route to goal through the middle is very well served. One thing that is noticeable about most of our games is how many times teams seem to get crosses in. And I think we're very much in the case of, in League Two, there aren't many players who can put in a decent cross. And that is helping us because we're dealing with the balls in, but again, it's amazing how many of them seem to be so close to Burge that Burge deals with them. So, for me, it's just a case of I look at everyone in the team, and everyone I think is in the team who, on merit, has played, who deserve to be in the team, apart from the 2 fullbacks, because they've never been asked that question of no one else has ever been given a chance, or they haven't lost their position to reclaim it again, or there's no other real option. So. It'll be interesting what happens when Haynes comes back, and if he does get an opportunity to see what he can bring to the team. But again, without trying to be sidetracked by negativity, Jody Jones is brilliant. And again, it's like Jody Jones created our goal with a bit of help from the corner flag, which leads to the greatest questions anyone's asked this week of, would Jordan Willis have been able to play that pass the corner flag played? I'm not sure if Jordan Willis could play a 1-2, so I'm going to go with no. But, I know you mentioned it last week, Neil. It's like you watch that team and you're like, whatever you think of Mark Robins, however brilliant you think he is or crappy you think he is, he's been very lucky. He's had 3 injuries, and those 3 injuries have allowed him to play the Duck, who's now scored 4 in 5.
Yep.
It's given Biamu a chance, who's improving game on game, and given Devon Kelly-Everton a chance, who's outperforming his direct rival Peter Vincenzi. If it had been the other way, and he'd only suffered 1 injury, but that was to Jody Jones, and McNulty, Bevan and Vincenzi had stayed fit, I'm not sure we'd be in the top 6, because I don't see where goals are coming from.
Is it not a little bit how you look at it? Because you could also say that he has put faith in a player like Biamu, who at the start of the season I don't think any of us really thought looked like he'd got much about him at all, and presumably through the work that he's done with him since joining is now looking more and more like someone who could do something. And he's, I think we've got to be a little bit careful about saying, oh, he's been lucky that he's not had, he hasn't had injuries to those players, but there's been an awful lot that we are doing right at the minute. I just think that there's probably something to be said for you maybe being positive about certain bits as well.
Yeah, no, I accept that, but there's no denying that if McNulty hadn't got injured, he probably would have still been in the team, because of the way Mark Robbins was talking about him. He was talking about the fact he's my number 1 striker, he's going to get 20 goals, and the Ducks come in and scored 4 in 5. Now, I'm not saying that McNulty wouldn't have scored 4 in 5, but having looked at what's happened so far this season, he hasn't been clinical. The Ducks got his opportunity and been absolutely lethal. And it's just a case of, well, that's... Yeah, you could say that, full credit to Mark Robbins for bringing in players like Biamu and the Duck, but it's taken injuries for those players to get time on the pitch. And the Duck's proven, the Duck's been... Whatever you think of the Duck, he is an enigma, and he's going to be frustrating at times. He's scoring goals, and he's scoring... The thing I like about the Duck is what I like most about his goal against Swindon, I think the finish is great. The touch and the turn is brilliant. It just... Because he's obviously aware there's no one stood behind him. And I know that sounds really obvious, but to actually then utilise that to free himself and get his body in the right position is brilliant. And that makes the next touch, the goal, even easier. So, the Ducks taking his opportunity, and we're going to miss him against Barnet, because the other thing is he seems to bring out the best in Jones. Those two are... It's not... Unlike when Roy Wegley was here and he did something and everyone else went, oh, Roy Wegley's done a back heel. Now it's like Jody Jones something. Duck goes, oh, I can do that as well. Look, watch me do it. And it's just, those two are so dynamic together that you take one of those out and we're just a less interesting team to watch, to be perfectly honest.
I think there is a danger in reading too much on sort of body language and stuff like that. But I also think that there is some accuracy in it as well. It was really obvious when Armstrong, Kent and Murphy were all playing together that when one of them scored, they would go to the others, and they clearly enjoyed playing with each other a tremendous amount. And then it came out that they had, in fact, become firm friends, hadn't they? And Madison, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
But the Nazon and Jones... Again, they're celebrating together. I think there's that picture of one in the arms of the other one, has jumped into his chest or whatever.
I'm guessing it could only be one way round.
Yeah, the Duck jumping into Jody Jones, yeah?
Right, possibly, yeah. But I think they look like they like playing together, don't they? And I'm not surprised at all, because they are our 2 biggest creative influences, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, it was like when we signed McGoldrick. You could tell the players thoroughly loved playing with David McGoldrick, because they knew if they gave David a control at the ball, they were more likely to win with him on the pitch. And you could just see that gave them a boost. And it's got to give you a boost to play with Jody Jones, who, we scored 3 goals this week. He set up 2 of them again. When you see him tearing the left back apart, if you're not stood there going, he's my teammate, he is. Thank God I don't have to defend against him. He would be a right bastard to defend against. What do you think? Do you think you can struggle against, and you sort of just sat there, and all the crowd, every time he gets the ball, the crowd are now sort of, generally this is exciting. And it's like how, like there were the mascots for the game, how all of them is like the favourite player, Jody Jones.
Yeah.
I don't care about anyone else. I just want to watch Jody Jones play. And I want to watch the Duck. I'm going to buy a Coventry City Duck. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah.
Merch.
Yeah, definitely.
What else have you got for us on the Crew game then?
That's about it. I mean, once more, I took my daughters to the pre-game craft area, and they loved it. And that's just so well run. And I can't give the people who do that enough praise. They're absolutely brilliant. They were brilliant with my daughters. And if you've got kids, just get to the ground like an hour before kick-off, because they've just got it down to a T. It's just a really nice environment to take a family to. And, that's part of it as well, is my girls aren't particularly interested in the football. So they get something out of it, they enjoy it. And, it's something you can take families to. It's the atmosphere in the Rico is probably better than it has been for a long time. It's quite a buoyant atmosphere at the moment. So it's, there's a lot of worse places to be on a Saturday than the Rico at the moment. So I know the pricing structure is still shit, but
that's the way it is. Is it? If you want to pay less for a ticket, pay for it when you know it's cheaper. I kind of think I'm a little bit bored of this. Oh, sorry. I thought that was a particular bugbear of mine. You're on about for children. Go on.
I think for Mary it would have been about 14 quid or something ridiculous. Like if I'd pay for both of them, like 28 quid or something. It might be less if, like Kate's 2, maybe it's free for her. I don't know. But I think for children under 7s shouldn't pay £1 to get in that ground. Under 10 should be a quid. Under 15s maybe a fiver. I'm just we came out and we went to the club shop, and my daughter went, "Look, Dad, there's a Coventry City badge on that towel. Look, Dad, that badge on. Look, Dad, there's a water bottle." It's like, yeah, it's the club shop.
Well, a bit half full.
Sick burn, bro.
But there was another guy in there with his kids, and his kids wanted something. He goes, "Oh, do you know how much it's cost me to take you?" And you're like, that should never be said to anyone under the age of 15. It shouldn't even enter the lexicon of parents. Should never turn around to their kids and go, "Do you know how much it took me to take you to the football?" It should be like, "Yeah, we've come to the football. You want to buy that? That's great." Not, "Well, I can't afford that and pay for you to go to the football." It's just like the ground. What? There were 8,000 there or whatever. Kids under 7s should be free. Under 10s a quid, because then you're going to take the kids, and you can take 4 or 5 kids.
Sorry, just
quick.
It
doesn't matter.
But just to cut you off a second, JSB Junior Sky Blues under 13 are free.
If you're a Junior Sky Blue member.
Well, how much is that?
Well, I think that's 30 quid, but what I'm saying is you're not going to pay. You might only take your kids once or twice a season, or you might take them 5 times, but you might not have, you might not join the Junior Sky Blues because you might want to take other people. It's just like, oh, my mate wants to come. Oh, fucking hell, that means it's 14 quid for your mate Johnny who's 7.
Yeah,
because he's not going to be a member of the Junior Sky Blues.
That's fair dues. I thought Junior Sky Blues might be cheaper than that. Yeah, you're right. That's quite a lot of money, isn't it?
Yeah, so for me, it's like your mate Johnny wants to come. Your mate Johnny's a Man United fan. We're winning at the moment. He might be going in the garden on tomorrow or in the playground on Saturday pretending he's Jody Jones. And we're excluding that whole market for. I don't see how it benefits anyone. I know that's a completely sub-discussion, but it's just for me, it's like, you want kids. You want as many kids there as possible because, like, we're winning at the moment. Every kid's hero in Coventry should be Jody Jones. It's just like, he's there. We're actually exciting. He's my hero at the moment. And you know how miserable I am. So it's like, we want kids in Coventry to have Jody Jones pictures on their wall. I know he'd probably be sold in January because that's the way our club works. But at the moment, it's fun to watch. He's a fun player. And we're excluding kids because we're making it like however much. It's like, doesn't need to be that way.
He is a fun player, isn't he? That's the main thing.
And there's still people out there going, well, why do you think he's turned it around? It's like, I don't care why he's turned it around. We discussed this in the past. I think he's older. Okay, the opposition are inferior, and he's got more experience. But at the end of the day, when we had David McGoldrick, I very rarely hear anyone go, "Why do you think he's suddenly become good in League Two, in League One?" It's like, who cares? It's like, I don't care why Jody Jones has suddenly got good. What I know is Jody Jones is good, and I'm embracing that.
Neil, I know that we don't know the answer to these questions, but in your opinion, do you think Robbins makes a difference with him?
Possibly. I mean, a lot of it could come down to how much sort of faith you put in a player, and I'm sure he's bigged him up something mental, like Presley did with Callum Wilson, where you put a lot of faith in the player and it gives them that boost. And the fact that he's playing him every game, even those earlier games where you don't really know what you're going to get, and in the cup games, he's just giving them minute after minute. He's not taking them off after 80 minutes like other managers have done. They're just saying, look, go out there, play, and I believe in you. I mean, it's confidence, isn't it? It's him now. The shackles are off. He now knows he's better. He's not feeling the wrath of fans when he gives the ball away, because he's now got that leeway, because he's done so much good stuff already this season. He's got that freedom to try a little bit more. So if he wants to take it past a player and he doesn't get the ball in, he's now getting applauded for the fact that he's taken the player on. Whereas last year, he'd be getting dogs abuse from the stands because, he's got a crap and final product. He hasn't crossed it in correctly. No, everybody would forget about the fact they just beaten 3 players. So it's kind of, we've reevaluated what he is, and we've kind of adjusted as much as Robbins has, us as fans as well. I think that makes a big difference as well. So he's just free at the moment, isn't he? Free, man.
And fun. Free and fun.
Free and fun. That's what you want from a winger.
And from your podcasts. I'd say it's a fair, accurate description of us. Okay. Should we do some Barnet preview and then get on to what has been a rare week of very good, interesting listener questions?
Listeners.
Yeah. Dominic joined us again this week. We're going to drop him in now, and then we'll do some questions for you. Hello, welcome, Dominic.
Hi.
You're going to talk to us about Barnet today, aren't you?
Correct.
They've won 1 of their last 6, I believe. How do you expect that they will do this season?
Well, before the start of the season, I saw them as playoff outsiders. Had a bit of a transitional season last year where they had about 4 different managers before returning to their second manager, Rossi Eames, who was their caretaker at one point. So it's a bit of a confusing managerial situation, but last season under Rossi Eames, they played some really good football and were on the verge of the playoffs until they appointed Kevin Nugent as manager. Kevin Nugent is Russell Slade's long-serving assistant, and he sort of repeated his friend's tricks in completely sort of destroying the team, basically. And Eames came back in and had to pick up the pieces. So as for this season, they started fairly well, but obviously, as you mentioned, 1 win in 6 games has seen that form curtail. I think they will improve. One of the big things sort of hanging over their season is John Akinde has barely played. He's only been involved in 2 games, and for any reason aware, he's just an absolute goal machine at this level. I think he scored over 20 in the past 2 seasons. They've had to deal with playing without him. When he's back fit, I don't think he'll be back fit in time for this game, but I think they'll start to improve. I imagine they will be a side possibly as outsiders for the playoffs.
Okay. Apart from Akinde, who you're saying will be unavailable, which of their players would you suggest looking out for?
Their front sort of 3 in their system of Jamal Campbell-Rice, John-Louis Akpro and Shaq Colthurst are going to be sort of bringing the game to us. A fairly pacey front line. Jamal Campbell-Rice, although he's getting on in age, he's 34 now. He's moved from his sort of traditional wing position, where I remember there was quite a few games against us in the Championship for his various clubs that he played for, where he absolutely terrorised us down the wing. He's been moved into more of a central position now, and he's still quite a threat now. He's picked up a few assists and goals this season. He's doing quite well, sort of threading a few balls in behind him, but also still being able to sort of drive at defenders still, even though he's lost a bit of his pace. Akpro and Colthurst are 2 sort of very quick strikers, but not the most reliable in front of goal. Colthurst is probably the more reliable of the two. He's got 6 goals this season. He's sort of been trying to sort of step into Akinde's boots for goals while they've been dealing with him with Akinde's injury. And elsewhere, they've also got a player called Mauro Villette in midfield, who can also play in the wing. He's another quick player too, he can play in a number of positions. He's scored a few goals this season, come up with a number of assists, and generally sort of it's quite a quick side. There's a few sort of exciting young players. They've got the Taylor twins, Harry and Jack Taylor, who are both very promising prospects, particularly Jack Taylor in midfield, who really shone last season when they were doing quite well, and is probably someone who will end up in the Championship in the next few years.
Jamal Campbell-Rice is a player that I wonder whether he's got Kyle Reid syndrome, where every time I've seen him play Cov, he has an excellent game, and I always wonder why he'd never ended up at a higher level. I remember he was excellent when we played Notts County in that tragic game where we lost 3-0 at their place, and was really, really good. So it's interesting that he's moved inside. It's interesting to see, I'm just looking through their top scorers this season. You're right, Coulthurst, it says, has got 7 in all competitions. They've got Villette on 4, Akpro on 3. So they seem to be a side that are able to score goals. Is it at the other end that they're struggling then?
They've got a few sort of quite big defenders, but I think, it's just a case of they've got sort of power at the back, but not maybe tactical discipline. They've also had their first choice keeper, Jamie Stevens, out injured for a bit. So, I mean, that's 2 quite big injuries to have, like your best striker and your first choice goalkeeper out injured to contend with. And I think overall they've also sort of set up quite defensively, generally sort of playing with a 5-man defence and trying to hit teams on the break. And without Akinde in the side, they don't really have anyone to hold up, so they can find it quite hard to relieve pressure on themselves.
A reasonably imbalanced team, is it fair to say, or?
Yeah, it's quite a weird squad because they've got quite a good youth academy for this level. I mean, if anyone's going to the Hive at the weekend, that's also sort of their training base, and they've got like a gym and all sorts of facilities around the place, and they've sort of been really able to sort of develop youngsters over the past few years. There's quite a few sort of knocking on the door of the team. I think this season they've had about 30 odd players sort of in and around their first team squad, so they've got quite a few really sort of young, raw, inexperienced players sort of filling out the squad, and I think at times that hasn't helped matters.
Okay, predictions then?
I would expect us to win this game. I mean, we're in form, Barnet or not. My 2 main concerns is whether we start getting a bit complacent now. I thought we saw that a bit against Crewe, where we sort of got our tails up for a bit, creating a few chances, but weren't really sort of showing that determination to try and take them. Got a bit giddy at times, and then there's a few nervy moments at the back where maybe there was that bit of complacency setting in. And also we've got Duckins Nazon away on international duty, so if he steps into that role, it's probably going to be McNulty, but that's going to put an extra burden on Jody Jones, and potentially he could have a tougher time than he's had over the past few weeks without sort of Nazon drawing the attention away. However, I think all things considered, I'm going to have us down to win this game narrowly, 1-0.
Thank you very much. We'll speak to you next week.
Okay.
Thank you. There we go. That was Dominic. Don't forget you can check his blog out at sidewayssammy.wordpress.com. Let's do some questiones then. First one from Kedwando. You have to lose one of Jones, the Duck, or Robbins in the January window. Which one do you choose? Paul, who would you get rid of?
I'm going to be shocked for this. I'd let Robbins go. I think, I think other managers might be able to motivate this team from January on to the end of the season to win promotion. I worry that. And then basically Jones is the man I'm telling, just basically, look, here's a 4-year contract, sign it, and stay in January and we'll listen to offers in the summer from league, championship clubs. But just give us the rest of this year, please. Pretty please.
I think his contract might be quite long already, and there was an interview with him earlier in the season where he was espousing not moving too quickly, wasn't he?
It's difficult, isn't it? In January, I'm sure he's not on a lot of money, and if he has, again, as I said, like what we've now scored 10 league goals at the Rico, and he's been involved in 9 of them. Come January, if we're top and people are looking at goals and stats, and there's a team in the Championship.
That's it, isn't it? The Championship. No one in League One should be able to afford him, so that's good. So it will take someone in the Championship to do what Norwich did with Maddison and sort of take a punt on him. It'll probably mean he won't play for the rest of the season, so that might be a decision he has to make. But I think that's the key, isn't it? It will have to be a higher club than the league above us, which is kind of good, I think. Helps us.
But the thing is, it's like he might also, if he goes to someone who's one of the bigger teams who are down the bottom a little bit, like a club like Birmingham, they might be like, we'll give you good money and we're going to play you every week because we're in deep shit. And if you're the player who keeps us up, or if you have a starring role as we go down, I think there's a lot of big teams in the Championship, and that's my worry. As you say, League One isn't it? There's no one in League One who are as big as Cov, let alone can rival us. In the Championship, there's about 15 clubs who could just, offer him something.
Do one of those lower clubs spend the money on him though? That's it's a big deal, especially one that's on the verge of relegation.
But there again, you've got a guaranteed probably League One performer, haven't you? In anything, it's not even
it's
a gamble.
Lot to throw away, isn't it? Yeah.
He's 19. It's not, he's not. We're not probably going to be asking $1 million. It'd probably be, even $500,000.
No.
In the Championship,
no way, $500,000. That guy, no way.
No, but it's the reality of the situation, isn't it? And that's,
he's got a huge contract. we spent like hundreds of thousands on him.
Yeah, but while I understand where you're coming from, Neil, we all know that football doesn't work like that, does it? And especially we also know that CC don't work like that.
Well, if they've spent, how much was it, 400,000 on him?
I think it was 250,000 is what I heard.
Which is a decent whack. If they've spent that and given him a huge contract, and then they allow him to go, someone who's obviously going to be really sought after for $500,000, then they're fucking idiots.
And they have. I mean, I'm not in any rush to defend them, but they didn't take the money for Stevenson that they could have taken when they didn't think that $1 million was enough for him. I am with Neil on this one. Although I think we're both all of us are saying the same thing. I wouldn't take 500 if he's still playing like this in January. They'd have to get a lot higher than 500 grand for him to be worthwhile going, because it would completely derail us. There's no way you could replace him for 500
It's not worth
grand, is there?
It's not worth us not going up the season, so we get 500 grand, which will
go nowhere. 500 grand isn't even any money, is it?
Yeah.
But as we all know, to some extent, the players have all the powers these days, and it's basically let's hope the situation doesn't arrive. But there again, we're sat here going, probably the only way we're going to be around the top 3 come January is if Jody Jones carries on the way he is. He's going to put himself in the window, isn't he? He's got, he already probably has. If I said to Pritchard after about 15 minutes, if you're a scout at that game, all you're writing down is Jody Jones way too good for League Two.
Do you know what? I'm going to disagree with something you said there. I'm not convinced the players have got all the power, because if you look at Coutinho this season, who sulked, and now he's back in, and I think he scored 2 already. He looked all right against Newcastle. I know that I think it's quite rare that a player don't get sold and then is like, guess what, stick you. I think most of the time they carry on playing because they're like, well, I want to go eventually.
I just think there's a difference between where Liverpool are and where we are.
Well, yeah, I think we can, but all that is about keeping a player who wants to go somewhere, isn't it? What's he going to do? He's not going to throw his career in the toilet, is he, for the sake of not getting a move?
No, but the first thing, I would basically give him a pay. I'd bring him in for contract talks and say, look, you've really impressed. Here's a decent wage, and literally just here's a decent wage, treble what you're on now, or double what you're on now, because you're probably on pittance because we signed you as an 18-year-old kid, and we would like you to stay till, and basically sell it to him of, we really value what you bring to this club, and we're willing to put money where our mouths are. and basically entice him to stay, because we all know that he's probably not on a lot, and teams in the Championship can probably offer 30 grand a week.
That's gross, isn't it? Sorry, go on, Neil.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. From a human element, I would never want to hold him back. So if someone came with an offer, which in a similar vein to Maddison, eventually I would accept it. But that offer has to be even vaguely worthwhile. And as far as I can tell, anything under $1 million, as it stands, what he's worth to us this season, and the fact what promotion would mean to us this season, selling him puts that at such risk. It's anything below, I say $1 million. I mean, you look at reference everything else around us. Anything under $1 million is just utter bullshit. It's nothing. It's literally, it doesn't get us anywhere. We don't get anything from it.
Doesn't even help the club. Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
But
Not worth it.
But we're still okay. We're to some extent quibbling about numbers, aren't we? But I think we all accept the fact that if he carries in like this, if they offer $1 million, it's closer to what you value him. Probably still a lot less than what we all properly value.
It makes it a harder decision. It definitely makes it a harder decision. I think we're going to come across that decision in January, whatever. There will be offers for him, but all I hope is that there's an element of sense about it, and there's an element of even medium-term thinking from the guys in charge. And it hindered us, even with selling Maddison. That completely derailed team spirit and the idea that this team was going to build for the next year. The moment he went, all the loan players, his mates suddenly thought, well, there's absolutely no chance I'm going to come back here next year. They would start to not think about this, this era of success that we were all looking at building. It all went. So it's the same thing now. So as long as the guys in charge look at this and see it for what it is, which is, this has to be something special, an offer it needs to be worth our while. And if it's monetary, it's got to be big. Because we need to be fully compensated.
Let's move on, because we've got about another 50 questions, and I think the tape runs out after 5 hours. So, quick one here from Mike Smith. Am I wrong to be getting excited? I'm going to ask the most excited man in the room, Paul.
No, fucking embrace it. We've been shit for years. Just embrace it while it's there.
There we go. Mark Egan asks, where do you think we will be in 10 matches' time? Which he helpfully says is the 9th of December. Neil?
Top of the league, baby.
Top of the league, baby. Before we started recording, I said to Paul, we've actually got to see it come to pass yet, but I said at the start of the season I expected 14th and sort of more of the same and everything, and I'm changing my mind rapidly.
I'm a huge debunker of stats, but the stats say it all, man. Look at it. We're so good.
7 clean sheets out of 11, and if you look at the teams that are ahead of us, we were talking about. He was saying we were going to go to Accrington, and they're third. And I don't see Notts County and Accrington staying up there. I just think the league will level itself out, and I think that the losses that we've had so far have been odd. Newport are doing better than we expected them to, and that game was a bit of a freak to have lost to that goal.
The goal, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that we're starting to look like... I feel a bit sorry for Vincenti, because he's become something of a pariah, and actually we have improved. I think we've stepped up a level since he's come out, but I don't think that's exclusively on him. But I think you're now looking at that team and going, outside of the fullbacks, which I gather there was a question of earlier, you look at it and go, that looks an all right team. I could take that.
But isn't that also good? To some extent, we sort of did labour a little bit to beat Crewe. There was a period in that game which was pretty boring. If we were on full cylinders and we had a bit of a spell in every game where we were a bit dull, I'll be worried. The fact that we sat here going, well, the team isn't at its, whatever you think of Grimmer and Stokes, I'm not saying they're bad players who are shit and need to be sort of dropped because they're never going to be good enough. I just think they're out of form. If those two hit form, then we're going to be even better than we are.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any issue with looking at the team going, where can we get better? Where can we get stronger? I think that's healthy. That's how you look at it. That's why teams who win the title then go out and spend like 100 million, because they know that they're not as good as they could be. So I think looking at the team going, we're playing well, we're playing, the attack's really well, defence is solid, but we could get better, is something you should always be striving for. In answer to the question, I think we'll be top. I think that the Accrington game is a tough one. Luton We've got Luton coming up soon. That's going to be tough. But, you know, the way it's going, we're finding a way to win games at the moment. We're finding a way to score goals.
The other thing to consider is that we aren't even playing with what I'm continually told is 30 goal a season Mark McNulty up front. So when he comes back in, that'll be the final piece of the puzzle, no doubt.
You're flying.
Friend of the show, Ian Heron. Existential question. If we take more fans to Barnet than they do, are we the home team, Neil?
In spirit, yes.
I think absolutely the case. And probably more of the home team than Wasps are. Although that's probably no need for me to be bitter about that at this point, is it?
I do wonder where they're going to play their 150 anniversary, their 350 anniversary game. I suppose that'll be on the moon, won't
it? One for Paul. Question from Rob Lowell. Biamu or Kwame Thomas?
Ooh, nice.
I'd like to see Kwame get a chance, but I felt sorry for Biamu on Saturday because you could tell that he had 3 games in his legs and the game was getting away from him towards the end. But he's really sort of come on recently. But I'd still like to see Kwame. Hands up. Bevan didn't really do anything wrong when he came on. He did what he did, which is run around. But I still don't see a goal threat there. I see no harm in Kwame being on the bench, and he might get on the bench. He might start in the. And Mark Robbins is very right in saying no one gives a shit about the Checker Trade Trophy. We really don't. We've won it. That's so last season. But I'd like to see Kwame at least be on the bench for tomorrow, if not start.
Okay, good shout. Question from Carl Bull. After watching the last 3 wins, does it worry you that Robbins is reluctant to use subs to freshen things up when it's clear we start to fatigue? Neil?
I'm not too sure. I think there's a reason behind it. I think he likes what we're doing. I don't think we're particularly threatened. And also, I think the other thing is in truth, I think he's still lacking options on the bench that he fully trusts as well, which I think that's part of the reason why he doesn't make those changes. I mean, if it was up to the fans, we'd be throwing Ponticelli in every game, we'd have all the kids on the pitch, and it wouldn't make any difference. He sees things slightly differently. So I'm not too concerned, no. I mean, I think he probably could have made some changes a bit earlier at the weekend, but it was one weekend.
Quite another one from Ian Heron. McNulty or Bevan to start while the Ducks away? Paul, I mean, I'm going to ask you that, but I think I probably know your answer.
What's the answer?
I think you're going to say McNulty.
I'm going to say Kwame.
Is he back?
He's back playing in the under-23s.
But isn't this Tubarakpom all over again, where they can effectively play whatever non-league game they want? I
thought he was back. He was only on loan for a month. I could be wrong. I mean, the serious answer is that, as I said to you or on the pod or whatever, for me, the front, it's the Duck or McNulty, and then behind it's Bevan or Biamu.
Yeah.
So if Duck's not there, then McNulty is the next cab on the rank and all those sort of, you can use whichever one of those. What's the word? Metaphors you want.
Yeah. Thomas joined Sutton for a month on the 8th of September, so I imagine he's on his way back, perhaps. Or maybe he came back secretly and nobody got told. Okay. Question that you referenced earlier was from Aman Guru about do you think Jordan Willis could have completed that pass the corner flag made to Jody Jones for his assist? Very, very naughty, but quite funny. It feels so churlish criticising Jordan Willis for not being able to pass when he's playing really well at the minute, but it's still true, isn't it? And I think we'll make this the final question for both of you. From Andrew Short, imagine Sisu go mad and allow us one marquee purchase in January. Which position do you strengthen and why? Neil, let's start with you.
Striker. I think someone playing alongside Nazon, especially if he leaves, we need a replacement. But if he stays, that suddenly becomes the ultimate, doesn't it?
For what it's worth, I agree with you. I think you can, as reductive as it possibly is, I don't think you can have enough 20-goal-a-season strikers in your squad. And I do wonder, if Jones leaves, that leaves us very, very short, albeit that he's not a striker. And I think that we could possibly offset that by having someone that was much more of a clear and obvious goal threat than maybe what we've got.
I've answered that incorrectly. I would. I've just realised I want a left winger. I want an opposite of Jody Jones. While I like Devon Kelly-Evans and I think he can offer something, I think we need someone similar to Jody Jones.
See if Ryan Kent's sick of being in Germany, perhaps. I wonder how he's getting on. Paul, what would you go for?
I'd go centre mid. Because I don't think you trust Ben Stevenson, and also because we were crying out for a Ben Stevenson type figure for a bit on Saturday. We were crying out with someone who could make a pass to a teammate in a decent, threatening pass, and we just lacked that. I mean, I know that Neil gave Kelly man of the match, and I know other people have been giving him praise, and I've nothing again. I thought he had a good game, but as I said earlier, I think that his and Doyle's limitation as a partnership was clearly evident for a spell against Crewe, because they just couldn't get on the ball and get us. They couldn't wrestle the attacking initiative from Crewe. They couldn't impose themselves from an attacking point, so it made Crewe's defensive job really quite easy. So I'd like to just, but I don't think, we're in League Two. We're not going to get the player that we desperately need in centre midfield to make us even better. So, but that's where I would strengthen if I could bring in any player I wanted.
Very good. I think that's us done. That's got to be the most questions we've ever answered on a pod. Good work, listeners.
Enjoyed that. Yeah, I like that.
Great questions, guys. What do we need to do now? We got anything to plug? Is Steve Phelps' book out anytime soon?
Soonish. I've got an apology to make.
Oh,
I was pulled up on my Simpsons knowledge or lack of.
Oh, yes.
As someone correctly pointed out, it was Mo who attacked Monty Burns with the crowbar.
Didn't make it any less funny. It was I still had visions of that happening. It was fantastic.
But so I must apologise for my lack of knowledge on that front, and you'd be happy to know that I sat reading that, sulking, going, oh, yeah, you're right. That was, yeah.
I do like how you call him Monty Burns. That's very different. I mean, he's just ubiquitously Mr. Burns, but no.
Yeah, even as per the song.
Boo Burns.
To friends, they call him Monty, but to you, he's Mr. Burns, of course. Interesting that you've chosen that as the first time to apologise for a mistake that you've made in the last 5.5 years of podcasting. But there you go. Paul, Neil, even, what's going on with Sky Blues blog?
More of the same at the moment. Just get over there, please. skybluesblog.co.uk.
And all of the other stuff. You're in a sea of fantastic cov writing at the minute. Just go and swim in it. Paul, what's going on with you?
I'm really looking forward to the Accrington game. Don't know why. That's my. I know we've got games between now and then, but the Accrington game's where I've got my focus. Obviously, don't forget that you can watch the Cov Barnet game on TV on Saturday. So you don't have to be one of the many hordes heading down there to take over is it the Hive?
It is the Hive, yeah.
Barnet call their ground. Well, is it Underhill?
It's still Underhill, I think. The Hive, I think, is the entire sort of like setup that they've got there, which I think is their training ground and all the different stuff. I think, hence why it's the Hive. I think it's a sort of a collection of different things, although I'll probably be wrong on that. I'll report back because I'm going on Saturday. Albeit that I haven't got a ticket yet and there's no tickets available. So I might be watching from a very, very tall ladder. But we'll have to wait and see.
Side story. Pritchard was in the away end against Swindon, and Corey Adai was there, our friend of the show, who I'm sure has never listened. And apparently every time someone went up to him and went, Corey, can I have a selfie? He'd be like massive grins and like, yeah, that's great. And then when he had his photo taken, it was proper like, sulky type look. And the next one like, Corey, can I have a photo taken? Yeah, sure, mate. Stonies. So I thought that was. I love the Corey Adai. Knows no bounds.
Yeah, lovely Corey Adai. It's going to be bittersweet if he ever usurps Burge, because we're all Team Burge here at the minute, aren't we? But We're going to be happy when Corey gets a little run, aren't we?
It'll be fun.
Finishing the game, retweeting all of his mentions.
Yeah.
Fabulous stuff. Okay, so yeah, I think that's everything from us, isn't it? Should we say goodbye?
Goodbye.
Neil, do you want to say goodbye?
Bye-bye.
And goodbye from me. Bye. I don't know that. I don't think you're. I think you're not. It's almost what you're not saying. Almost suggests that you. I think people will. It sounds a little bit like you're being sniffy, and I think you don't. Oh God, what am I trying to say? I think you know what I'm trying to say, but I might just cut all this bit out because it's basically just fucking nonsense, isn't it?